Welcome all to the New Dream Podcast. I'm Sarah Grady, and as Bryce Savage's song states, I'm a Pisces with no fake love here. My soul felt deeply called to create the New Dream movement of unconditional love and support for all, so here we are. Whether you're here for the stories, engaging authentic conversations, to discover new tools to create change in your life, or just the unconditional love and support that's felt, know that you are beyond welcomed. Take what fits for you, leave the rest, because life is yours to live and your heart will know the way. Let's get started creating our new dreams. This next conversation was with a truly inspirational soul. We stepped into our call and just started flowing, and it doesn't get more authentic than that. Speaking of authentic, her company is known as AuthenticBroad, so truly fitting. She's a logistics ninja, lost 150 pounds, and is literally half the bitch that she used to be, and is now a certified Dharma Coach. This conversation it touched on so many different pieces, but ultimately she shares several stories about what she has went through in her life to get to where she is now. She shares several tips and different ideas and motivational sayings that have helped her create the life that she's living now that is truly authentically hers. She shaved her head at 40 just to prove to herself she could. And how freaking badass is that? Like, here I am, world. I'm here. Her energy is contagious, and she's just an amazing human being. And I am so lucky and grateful that I get to call her one of my friends. Please enjoy the remarkable badass that she is, Renee Morris. When this episode airs, the day before is her birthday. So if you reach out, definitely wish her a very happy birthday.
What's up? All right.
Hey.
I did want to read, just to share with you some of the notes. I was reading through journal prompts today, and I made some notes of what kind of has brought me to wanting to be here today. So,
Absolutely.
I definitely have, like I shared earlier in a text, I'm a logistics ninja, and I've learned how to make the clock my bitch. I really do. So the pain points there's a lot of pain points that I solve or can relate to or can be an assistance in someone working through it because I get it. And some of the pain points that I've personally worked through, which I'm not a doctor and I can't give medical advice, but I've worked through depression and anxiety and got off medication only to see if I needed it. You know, I wanted to get off of it because it had been 10 years and it was like, fuck, do I even need this or is this just habit? Let's find out.
Right.
And since 2020, I've been raw dogging life, and that's kind of exciting.
That is.
I noticed that, like I shared with you, despite my father dying when I was 10, I feel like I grew up having more mommy issues. Now looking back, that I craved the nurturing, the security, or emotional, physical support of a mom, that warmth, the feeling of unconditional love. And because of my deep experience of conditional love for so long, I deeply understand now what unconditional love is, and that shit's not easy. Right. So I find myself being a quality resource for people working through relationship issues. When we bring it down to unconditional love versus ego, unconditional love has boundaries. Unconditional love respects itself. Unconditional love doesn't mean you're a fucking doormat, you know? So cleaning up thinking around all that. And then majoring in courage. I feel like the last few years I've really shown up for myself and I've demonstrated that I major in courage. In fact, I went Brittany and shaved my head at 40 just because I could. And I always wanted to. I thought Sinead O'Connor was fucking gorgeous, and I admired her when I was a kid watching MTV, and I was like, I want to be like her. And then I saw G.I. Jane and was like, holy fuck, she's a badass. But I could never do that, you know. But yeah, I did. And it was such an outward reminder. Like when you walk by a mirror and you have nothing there, there's nothing to fiddle with. There's nothing to hide behind. Like even in the Bible, it talks about it, your hair being your crown of glory, and it's like, when you take all
Right.
that shit away, it's just a reminder that you're fucking you. Get to know who that is.
Oh,
Yeah. And that was
oh,
really raw. That's been the last 4 years, honestly. And so I have realized that my meat suit is just really here to mobilize my glitter bomb spirit.
yep.
And that's it. I appreciate it. I love it. It's fucking awesome. And releasing perfection, just starting that we already have everything we need inside of us to go for whatever it is that we desire.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we're just missing the component of identifying the lies that are holding us back.
Right.
And usually our social circle just reflects us to us and can oftentimes keep us stuck and limited in whatever it is we're stuck and limited in. So,
Right.
um, and then lastly is just honoring my heart, not sitting on the sideline and admiring other people or wishing I could be more like it and then feeling like a victim and giving myself excuses. I've realized that when I admire something in other people, it's really an inner calling within me to step up and to be more, or to show up. And um, instead of feeling envy, jealousy, or the negative side of admiration, I have turned it into inspiration, accountability, encouragement, reaching out and praising someone like, oh my gosh, you're fucking awesome. Be my friend. And they're like, what, me? And I'm like, oh my God, you feel that way about me? And it's just like hype on hype on hype. So just testing out, trusting women, which does not come natural to me. So that's what I got for you.
Oh my gosh. Like you're speaking to my soul right now. You are such a like breath of fresh air is really what I think and feel every time that we've spoke, every time like we've had an interaction leading up to this. It's just like this human is truly authentic. Like 100% speaks whatever is coming to your mind and your truth and just unapologetically you. And we don't have enough of that. Like you're right. Like we're shedding so much and going through so much and like I don't talk about it a whole lot because I'm still like working through it, but I have mommy issues too. Like I should have had daddy issues. Really should have. My dad was an alcoholic, like definitely not present. He could be a total dick. And like even talking about him now, I miss the man wholeheartedly, but he was an asshole sometimes. Like but I needed that unconditional love too. And my mom was so stuck in her masculine, she didn't have that ability and I tried to connect with her about it and she doesn't understand even now. And it's hard when someone like you try to share your truth and someone doesn't understand, especially when they're that person. Like
Man, yeah, I get that deeply.
like
Like a
I'm
Rolodex
okay.
of thoughts. I'm like, yes, yes, I
Yeah.
get that. But
Well,
then
and
ultimately it comes down to, what are you going to do with it? Do you
yeah.
need that external validation to step up? Are you going to sit there and fucking cry about not being whoever it is or whatever it is you
Yep.
want to be? Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I created this because it came to my mind and I wrote it in my journal. And anytime I've shared it, I've heard people say, oh my gosh, I love that. So I don't know if it's mine. As far as I know, it's mine. But I believe we're either choosing it or changing it.
Yeah.
Not like, black and white,
Yep.
make a choice. What are you doing? And I
100%.
think women naturally tend to be um, more in our flow. I mean, we're all different. We all. I mean, it's not just, we all have masculine and feminine flow within us.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of women have, out of survival, they lean into their masculine, their protective
Mm-hmm.
side, and um, because we view the sensitivity as weak. I used to
Yeah.
view tears as weak, and now I will get fucking Oprah ugly on the spot. Like, I don't care. I'm going to work through it.
Yep.
You are not going to be a roller bag of issues for me in my future.
Yep. 100%. I heard my entire life I was too sensitive. I was too much because I was too emotional. So like I learned how to
Suck it up.
bring them in. We don't share those. We keep those out like on the inside. And that was one of my biggest, I think, blockages is just honoring the fact that I do feel and I feel hard.
Mm.
And that's okay. It's one of my superpowers. That's the reason I
Yeah.
have the unconditional love I have, is because I feel deeply and just unapologetically, I love every human being on this planet, no matter what they do. There is no conditions for me. If you are in my circle, you've got my love, support, and I'm here. If you're going to walk on me, there'll be boundaries, healthy ones now, but we're all humans making mistakes, fucking shit up, blowing shit up. It's fine.
So true. So true. I currently I'm going through DCI, Dharma Coaching Institute, and it's put on by Sahara Rose, and Nita and Ajit are married,
Hey.
and it's an amazing program.
I
And
love
just last,
Sahara Rose.
oh girl, so literally last year I was headed back east. I live in California. I was heading to North Carolina to visit family, and I had the thought, while I was there, I just had a desire in my heart. I've cleaned out my social circle. So
Mhm.
I have like two friends that I talk to regularly, but we live separate lives. We're not hooked at the hip.
Right.
And then I know that you're the average of your top five.
Yep.
And so the other three kind of rotate. And I have this like group of women that if I was ever in a situation and I just needed to make a decision and feel overwhelmed, I could trust this group of women. If I were to call any one of them and say, make this decision for me, because I just can't fucking choose, I trust that they have the best interest of my highest self.
Hmm.
And but we don't talk very often because we all have separate lives. And I just was really craving more like nourishment, more I wanted more input,
Right.
But and I prayed, and I was just like out loud, like, God, I want healthy female encouragement, examples that are relatable. And I opened Spotify, and I had been listening to podcasts quite a bit at work
Hmm.
because I have like a knuckle dragger job. And so I could just listen to podcasts while I'm working. And
Right.
Sahara Rose. And I don't remember what the subject was, but I saved it, and it was exactly what I had asked for. And so here I am in North Carolina, staying in a treehouse on a lake during a fucking huge thunder and lightning storm. And I'm like, oh my God, be my friend, circle, yes. Oh my gosh. And I couldn't get enough. I listened to probably 5 or 6 of her podcasts before I crashed out. And her podcast mentioned DCI, Dharma Coaching Institute. And I thought, oh, I would love to do that, but it's 6 months and it starts in October, and that's my busy season at work.
Hmm.
And so I thought there's no way I could do it and commit to it. So when it came around this year in April, I thought, man, I want to get as close as I can. So I did a discovery call. And in that discovery call, they gave me an offering of a discount. And I thought,
Oh,
I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. But I just, I really felt this deep seed of it's going to happen. And I don't know how. Like, I don't
right.
know if I need to call X amount of friends to borrow $100 from and then pay them all back slowly, but I'm going to pay for this. And I had the thought bubble, hey, it's what do you call it? Credentials, it's not just
Hmm.
a woo woo hype session. And so I reached out to my 401k plan and said, post secondary education, does this qualify? And it did. Boom, paid for it. The
Oh my
day it
gosh.
funded my account was the day the program started. It was May 8th of this year. And that program, my intention was for it to just bring together all the components of who I am, my journey, and give me a polished step by step how to present who I be. And
Right.
it's done so much more than that. And I'm in the last two
Oh,
months, and I know this is almost more of a commercial for DCI, but it'll change your life, and it can change the lives of everyone you come into contact with. So I'm just really juiced
right.
that in 4 weeks I will be certified Dharma Coach, and I'm ready to kick open the barn doors and launch January 1. It's
Oh,
beautiful. So there's the friend that I wanted. And so anytime she'd interview someone, I'd follow them. Anytime someone would talk about a book they wrote, I'd get it. And so I kind of stalked Sahara Rose because she's such a badass and she's so
right.
young, and she's following her multi-passionate dream. She shakes her ass. She's a spiritual queen. She's open about her divorce she just went through. And I
Hmm.
just, I find it all beautiful.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you're giving me a sign from the universe because I only listen to her on Spotify and I love the stuff she talks about and I love how open she is about sexuality and just all the different different like facets of life and like flowing and just being so into our bodies. But I had this little seed that planted about the program. But I was like, I don't, it's not right for me yet. But now I'm starting to wonder if like I'm leaning into that a little more.
You could
So,
start with, she does have a 21-day Discover Your Dharma program, which I
okay.
actually bought and never did. And then when I joined the course, it came free in the coursework. And I'm like, okay, I clearly need to do this. So that's what I'll be working on when the program's done.
Okay.
But if you have any inclination to do it, there is nothing but good that's going to come from it. It pays for itself. It's not an expense. It's beyond an investment in you, in your
Right.
spouse, in any friends you have. Yeah, it's it's
Oh,
made me a much. It's given me the opportunity to become aware of some blind spots that I didn't previously have.
right. That's so intriguing. I love that we both knew her and we didn't know we both knew her.
Right. Yeah, that's very fun. So you're see, and I wouldn't be here today if I had not had that open heart, requested from the universe with full expectation that it would deliver, come across the podcast, get
Mhm.
led to the program, which put me on fire to pursue me, my business. I would
Right.
never have reached out and said, "Oh my God, let me be on your podcast." I'd be like, "Who
Right.
am I?" Like imposter syndrome or whatever, all that bullshit.
Ugh. The universe, man, it works in mysterious ways.
Yes,
I
yes.
love it so much. All those pieces of like how you get somewhere. I love going down that deep dive of what steps led me to right here, right now. What is it that I'm going to be grateful for today? Like what bad shit did I have to go through in order to learn
Man.
the lesson to get here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what lens did I need to have on that bad shit
Yeah.
to keep me, to allow me to step out of victim mode
Yeah.
into not just surviving, but thriving? Honest, real talk, I was putting away dishes. All your clear thoughts come to you when you're in the shower or when you're doing dishes because
Yeah.
typically, you're not dwelling on something, or you dwell on it and it dissipates because you're just fucking doing the dishes or you're just
Yeah.
scrubbing your body. And I was putting away dishes and I remember I was in mid plate placement and I was like, oh, I had the thought bubble. I have been in fight or flight mode my whole fucking life. And it
Hmm.
was like, what? And this was just a few weeks before the pandemic set in.
Right.
And I felt on my heart a desire to go out of work on disability to taper off of the antidepressants that I was on because I wanted to know if I needed it. And if I need it, is that the one I need? Should I be trying other ones? And I have a really physical job, so can't do that while I'm at work.
Right.
So I reached out to my doctor and she was about it. But then the pandemic hits and everyone's calling in saying, I'm depressed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm scared. And doctors are there to prescribe drugs. And my doctor said to me, you're going to have to reach out to a psychiatrist because I can't continue to write you out of work while you're getting off of medication. Like the symptoms you're presenting are the exact reason we put people on medication. And I said, I get it. I respect that. And I just trusted it was going to work out. And the first person I reached out to, the psychiatrist, was so supportive of me saying, yeah, I want to get off this shit and evaluate if I need it.
Right.
And so I really created my own plan. We were social distancing. So he would say things like, what did you do this week to work on what you have going on? Everything was personally like inspired. I said, well, I've been journaling and like physically pen to paper, and that's not something I naturally just did. I went and bought a kiddie pool and put a garden in our backyard. I'm not a gardener. I'm not a gardener. And watering plants, though, it's like an example of how you can take care of yourself and how it takes time. You don't
Mhm.
plant a seed and then yell at it for not being in full bloom the next day, but we fucking do
Yep.
that to ourselves, you
Yep.
know? So anyhow, I don't know if I'm getting squirrely and off topic, but yeah, 2020, I decided to try to get off of antidepressants, and then the pandemic hit. And ironically, 2020 was like the best year for me, the most self introspective year. And there was a lot of
Yep.
hard shit, but that's, I think, the year that I came up with, I'm either choosing this or I'm changing it. And it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be all or none. In my history of being such a extremist since I was a kid, all or none, all or fucking none. So I really started to learn to balance in 2020.
Ugh. I love that. I connect with that so hard because it was the same for me. 2020, it was hard and it was a lot. And you felt not only your own shit, but everyone else's stuff all around you because everybody was scared. Everyone was unsure and the uncertainty was crazy. But
Mm-hmm.
it was the best year of my life. Like I found who I was or like took the steps to start
Mm-hmm.
discovering me again. And without that year, I wouldn't be here right now. I would not be podcasting. I would not be having this conversation that I'm going to think on probably for the rest of this week. Like, I wouldn't be able to meet the beautiful souls that I'm meeting and just getting to wake up in the morning and say my favorite phrase now is I get to live this life
Mm.
because I do. I enjoy my life. I enjoy my children finally. They, because we unintentionally, at least for myself, you get so stuck in the routine of like I have to take care of these people, like I have to, like they're my responsibility, and if I fail it, I'm failing them, and there's so much pressure that it turns into this like resentment, and I have to do these things for you. But no, like you said, you either choose it or you change it. And for me it was about changing the mindset of I get to raise these kids. I
Mm.
get to be the person that's going to be supportive and help them on their journey. And what do I want that to look like?
Yes. You
And
get to
it's
teach them
so
your bad
good.
habits instead of sending them off to have them learn somebody else's bad habits.
Right. Well, and help them undo some of mine because my poor oldest.
Oh, girl. Yes. My kids are 19 and 21 now. And man, I did some fucky stuff. And they're like,
Yeah.
Mom, you're so different now. So that's definitely a testimony. If you want to know about yourself, if you want to know how kind, patient, loving, and peaceful you are, ask your family because they don't get your real, they get you.
Mm-hmm.
They get your sorry ass in the morning. So if you're like, shut the fuck up, I need to go get my peace meditation on. It's like,
I
you know what I
know.
mean? Like,
I do. I
oh,
started noticing that for myself. That's the funny thing is like I saw myself treating other people's kids with so much more patience than my own. And I'm like, what are you doing, Sarah?
oh yeah. That actually is a tool that I've learned sometimes when my kids were younger. Is I would look at them as if they were someone else's kids so that I could
Yeah.
have more patience with them. I feel like children,
Yeah.
I've mine anyway, they're like little disco ball reflections of me. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like the unhealed parts of me seem to shine the brightest. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I can't fucking stand that in you. And it's like, oh, wow. Okay, we're on to something here. You got that from me, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're our biggest mirrors, and I love that. I've learned so much through my children. I'm just like, you guys have no idea. Like you're holding this gratefulness for me. Like my son, my oldest, he's got this big pure heart and he's like, "Mom, you're perfect the way you are." And I'm like, "Stop. It's
Oh,
gross." I'm like, "I love you and it's so sweet, but please let me hold myself accountable."
yeah, that is very sweet. See, I didn't instill that kind of stuff so much. Like
Hmm.
I I had big emotions and I was unmanaged and like
Okay.
I I would struggle with smoking cigarettes since I was in high school.
Hmm.
And I went years before I got pregnant. I knew I wanted my body to be clean. So I'd say around 20-ish, I stopped smoking cigarettes and I had my kids at 23 and 25. A few years later, after I quit breastfeeding, when I would struggle with a big emotion, whether it be fear, anxiety, stress, whatever, my go-to, fuck it, was I'd go up to the local convenience store and I'd buy a diet Pepsi and a pack of cigarettes. And
Yeah.
I felt pretty silly when I read that nicotine speeds your system up. In my mind, I was like, this calms me down. This calms me down. It's no, it does not. It speeds you up. Like,
Yeah.
and then one day, what helped me finally quit smoking cigarettes is I realized this little fucking box has power over me. All this is feeling controlled by this. And at the time, I was like 300 pounds. I was
Okay.
like, man, you know. And so I cut it out. And that was part of just radical changes, just ultimate accountability for the life that's reflected. When you said that you wake up and you say, I get to live this life, when you
Hmm.
say that, it also will bring awareness to the fact that if there's components of this life that you get to live that you don't like, you get to make the changes. And that may make other people uncomfortable, but you get
Right.
to step out in your truth. So a lot of times people that don't like that, oh, I get to live this life, and they're saying it with a little snark or attitude, it's like, where are you not taking ownership?
Right.
Where are you not accepting responsibility and accountability for the shit that's going on?
Yep. I couldn't agree more. And that's a hard conversation because with if someone's not in that space of being able to see it, they attack hard. And I get
Right.
it. I do.
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
get
Oh,
it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I wasn't ready for it. I laugh and say, 6 years ago, me would have talked so much shit about who I am today. Who I am today, I would have given former me so much stuff to make fun of. The first time I went and did yoga was it was, I think, 2017. I have a girlfriend who puts on outdoor yoga retreats. And I
Ooh,
was just excited to get the fuck out of the house. I was married with
right.
hubby number two at the time. So we had four
Okay.
teenagers between us, and we always had a spare kid or two that lived with us. And I was just like, yes, I will go to your retreat in the mountains alone. Yes.
Right.
So when I get there, I was so excited because there's a tavern on site. And I pull up and it's like 9 o'clock at night. And I finally get there. We're near Yosemite. It's out in the boonies. And the moon is so bright. And I said, dude, this is beautiful. I'm so excited. I'm gonna hit the bar and I'll see you in a little bit. And she kindly grabs my wrist and says, after yoga. And I was like, and I knew I had told her I would go and do this. I didn't want to go. And then I get there and there's this circle of people under the moonlight sticking their ankle up in their crotch with balance. And at the time, I think I was around 215-ish pounds. So I
Okay.
was not feeling comfortable in my skin. I didn't know the poses. I had to look to see what they were doing and copycat. Slowly over time, that weekend opened me up so much. We took hikes out in nature, and it peeled back layers that I never would have imagined how much could come from that retreat,
Right.
because all I had experience doing something like that before was, like Christian women's retreats. Not bashing them.
Mm.
I've had amazing experiences at those. However, there was just a lot more acceptance for being whoever it is you are, wherever it is that you are. Not
Right.
everyone trying to fit and be the same square in the same in the same hole.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really impactful experience. Was just getting out and getting into nature and getting
Right.
out of my head. That that really opened up a lot for me. And
Oh,
that woman is still to this day. She is. When I say there's two people in my life that I talk to regularly, she's one of the two, and I absolutely adore her.
I love that. It's so funny. Like sometimes we do need that push to like step into that like uncomfortable change. It's almost
Mm,
like we push away the thing that we know is going to help the most because our mindset or wherever we're at in the moment is like, oh no, like that's not for me, even though it's exactly what you need.
exactly. Yes. And there's women there that I connected with that I'm still in contact with, through
Mhm.
social media. But I mean, there was girls there that hunt, like deer hunt, and then
Right.
kill, like cut it and gut it. And if that's not your jam, that's cool. That's not my jam. I don't want to do it. But I'm like, damn, you're a badass. Just seeing women stepping into whatever it is they're called to do, whatever their hobby is, whether it's socially norm or not. And that was so encouraging for me. And that's actually when I started telling people that I admired things in them. Like I
Hmm.
started speaking out more uplifting words, and
Right.
and I also came to realize that former me used to cut people down. And that was a
Yep.
form of elevating myself, whether I realized it or not. Not every time. Sometimes it was just to make a joke, and some of the funniest shit is the most fucked up stuff. So I find
Right.
humor where I can, and I tend to be the one to say it. But there's so much when you're able to genuinely encourage and build someone up and let them feel seen. And it's life changing for both the giver and the receiver.
It, it's interesting that you say that because that's one of the things I struggled with. I was so good at giving, but I wasn't good at receiving.
Mm,
I
mm,
I didn't want people to say good things about me because it made, and it wasn't that I didn't want to hear it because I did, but as soon as I would hear it, it's like I'd retreat and I wouldn't know
yeah.
what to think or how to feel, and it was so uncomfortable. And breaking through that barrier was really interesting.
Maybe
So,
there's something there with like how we both share in that, maternal longing. Maybe
right,
there's a connection there that, I didn't grow up hearing words of affirmation. I'm not
right.
saying I was never told I love you, but eh, when you talk about your dad, he could be a real dick sometimes.
Hmm.
I love my dad, and I don't know, I feel like maybe it was easier to idolize him because he died when I was 10. I didn't have to deal with him as a teenager. So maybe it was
Right.
just easier to be like, he was my hero. But at the same time, he was the grown ass 200+ pound man that whooped my ass when he lost emotional control. Not every day, but
Right.
does that matter? Like once is enough, multiple times, absolutely. And then not feeling protected by my mom, who
Hmm.
was aware of it, sometimes physically there and didn't interrupt it.
Right.
So it taught me, now looking back, that I had to protect myself. I had to look
Yeah.
out for me. In fact, it's funny. My dad died when I was 10, but one thing I remember him saying so often is never let the bastards know they got you. And I think that's such a peculiar thing to impart on your young daughter. But man, he did a really good job of teaching me that, because I armored up, man. My turtle shell was hard and waxed and ready for war. And I'm just thankful that I realized that. I can take that turtle shell off, and I can
Right.
just, I can be mushy me, and I can
Yeah.
be vulnerable. But at the same time, like I'm not I'm not some little bitch that's gonna get pushed around.
Right.
Balance.
I love the balance. Like, and
Yeah.
hearing it in that, like, in that wording is just powerful in itself. Like, you have the visual. Like, I'm envisioning like this turtle, like taking off its shell, like, here I am, and like
Yeah.
this is me. But then, oh, we're ready to move right now, and I need that for a second. You
Yeah.
can put it
Like
back on.
the best way to put it is like namaste, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
yeah.
That's funny that you have a saying because that's been coming up a lot lately for me, is something my dad used to say. And
Hmm.
I don't know if you're like, if you've studied your human design or anything.
I love human design and gene
Oh,
keys. Oh girl. Have you checked out
same.
Gene Keys?
Uh-uh.
I'll call you when this is over. But Gene Keys is literally a book this thick that goes
Okay.
line by line. All 64 lines are in this book. So the human design shows your 64 channels and how
Right.
they're connected. And this breaks it down, and it'll tell you your four, like your superpower, your life work, your obstacles that you overcome. And mine is familial alchemy. Like it's amazing. Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
bananas.
know that existed because every time I look at the chart, I'm like, what do all these numbers mean?
Oh yes, I got. It's funny. I just put these here a few days ago. The Book of Lines will actually. This is almost like a human design for dummies. Like it really just
Okay.
makes it user friendly. Gene Keys is like if you're really ready to geek out and go down some rabbit holes, it can just be overwhelming for someone who's not into it. I'm
Right.
so into it. So,
Same. It's what's got me to this point because I
mm.
learned about it like 4 months ago. And
So what is your
is
responding? What is your strategy? What's your gene
I
strategy?
I am a generator and I
Okay.
am meant to respond.
Same. Most
Yeah.
people are generators, and it seems like most people are meant to respond. But maybe for people who don't know anything about human design, it really just tells it's science and spirituality merged.
Mixed. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is based on the date, time, and location that you were
Yep.
born. And it identifies strength and connections. I don't really know the best way to put it, but like when you say to respond, I'm the same way. So
Hmm.
for me, when I saw your invitation, I think that's how I found you. Was
It
you put
is.
something on Facebook, and we weren't even friends, so I'm not sure
No.
how I saw it, but
It was
I
that
saw the
group we were in,
which
the
one?
CCA or something.
Conscious
Yes.
Coaching Accelerator.
Yes.
Oh,
CCA.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw your invitation, and so I responded. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah, human design is amazing. In fact,
I
if
love it.
someone wants to ever follow up with me on diving in a little deeper to their human design, that's something that I'm not an expert in, but I promise I have more than enough bullshit to keep you going. You know?
I just did that for a friend yesterday. I was like, listen, let's go down this rabbit hole because it's crazy.
Yeah.
But when it made me feel like I had home again
Yes.
because I was like, oh, so I've been doing life wrong this entire time. But oh, to the reason I was bringing this up, my dad, the one thing he said to me all the time was, you think long, you think wrong. Like that
Oh,
was his famous line for me. Every time I would be making a decision, I'd be taking forever. And he's like, you think long, you think wrong. And now
that
looking
almost
back,
sounds
I'm
like an
like,
AA quote. Was you said your dad was an alcoholic too, huh?
yeah, but he never went to AA.
It sounds like maybe someone sent him a quote or two that he thought he'd share. Wow, that's
Maybe. Yeah.
you think
Yeah.
long, you think long.
And it, for me, like, how perfect is that? Because I'm not supposed to sit and think. I'm supposed to respond. I'm supposed to go with
Oh,
my gut instinct.
uh-huh.
And I'm like, he knew me even back then, and he had no idea. He bullshitted his way through that.
You know,
Like,
going back, I think there's a lot of similarities here between us because when I am looking at human design and that kind of stuff, I remember my dad. He used to he had like Chinese diagrams and like my mom tried apparently for years to get pregnant with me. I have one sibling; she's 7 years older, and
okay.
so they used like the Chinese birthing chart, which I don't know, did a lot of people do that back in the 70s? I
Maybe?
don't know. I don't know,
Maybe.
but he was always into that like psychology. And
Right.
I'm able to see the older I get and how how much I am like my parents. I
Uh-huh.
guess the more I soften, I'm able to see how much I'm like them, and I'm able to
Hmm.
have more empathy and softness towards them.
Yep.
You know?
I I always had that growing up. Like I was that person because I was, codependent people pleaser. And if you said something wrong about my mom, like just know I was going to rip your head off. Like, don't you say
Oh,
bad things about my mama. But then over the last few years, I went the other route of I never acknowledged any of the things that hurt me because I felt like if I acknowledged that it hurt me, then I was saying she was a bad mom, which isn't the case at all. So
really?
I
Mm-hmm.
had to feel all that crap that I didn't let myself feel before and let it move through my body. And once I did, it was like, oh, you're a human. Like you went through so much shit. And I couldn't even imagine how you made it through the way that you did. And
Mm-hmm.
now, like, I just want to connect, but it's hard to connect when we're in like two different places. So we're in
With
this
your
like
mom
middle
thing,
ground.
connect with
Yeah.
your mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. But it'll come when it's time. Emily, I hope she knows that like I love her so freaking much, but she doesn't understand me and I didn't understand her and I still don't fully, but I think I'm moving towards that direction. Like and
Yep.
hearing another person go through it is so I don't know, like it just feels like a warm hug
Mm.
because you're not alone, which is why I think I love your story so much because you've been through the shit.
What you just said, you're not alone. I think around circa 2020 is when I uncovered that was my deepest lie that I believed. I believed I was alone. And I feel
Mhm.
that anchored my turtle shell in place and put
Yep.
this like, um, never let the bastards know they gotcha.
Yeah.
And, and, like, you can't hurt me. You can't
Right.
hurt me. And shit surely did hurt me, but I put all my effort into not showing the hurt rather than identifying the hurt, being curious
Right.
about the hurt. Why do I have hurt? Feeling the hurt and then letting that shit pass. I read
Yep.
about couple months ago that it takes about 90 seconds. A doctor wrote this, so fight me if you want to, but a doctor wrote that it takes about 90 seconds for a feeling to pass through your body, that surge and then the release. And I kind of questioned it at first. And then I had opportunities to remind myself of that when I had some big feelings come up.
Right.
And you know what? I have to say that I have personally come to know it is true. Now, if I start thinking about reasons why what happened wasn't acceptable, oh, I can prolong the feeling. I can enhance the feeling. I can bring on new feelings. But really, for something to come, to just feel it, to breathe through it, like regulating my nervous system has changed my life. Just breath work, just all that biohacking bullshit. Like bring
Mhm.
it on. It is so amazing. And I don't know, I feel like I'm just going down a rabbit hole now. And now I forgot what I was talking about. I'm just sharing different tools that I've learned over the last few years that have been so impactful. And um, just, just really grateful for all the tools that I've
See, and that's the beauty of these conversations for me is whatever comes up is 100% like it's all your story.
learned.
Like your story is impactful because it's yours. Like you're meant to share your story, and the people that are meant to see it are going to see it and they're going to connect with it and be like, oh, yeah, like you're being a light for all these people around you just because you're putting yourself first. And how beautiful is that?
Mm.
Like we get to work on us and then help people around us in turn. And it's like this big old beautiful cycle and I love it.
Thank you. When
Absolutely.
I remember, I realize now what took me down that rabbit hole was when you said something that realizing you're not alone, and I
Oh,
realized
yeah.
you said my triggered, like that was my lie. I identified my life lie, and here's the deal: is when you carry a lie, you will find evidence to support it,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it
for
doesn't
sure.
serve you. So that was a blind spot, though. And a lot of times, I think people don't recognize the lie that they have, their
Yeah.
dominant lie, and the continued evidence that they find to support their lie.
Yeah.
And recognizing that I'm not alone, I am deeply supported, I'm deeply loved, and I
Hmm.
have all the relationships available to me, and cutting out the toxic ones that did not serve me. So walking away from habits and people and attitudes that just no bueno.
Yeah. That was my hard part because I love everybody. So it was like, how do I let people go? How do I walk away? But it's not walking away with hatred. It's walking away with love for not only yourself, but the people that you're not serving them either.
Well, see, that's where I can definitely find a difference between us, because I
Yeah.
would be big, loud, throw some lighter fluid, strike a match, and then, yeah, yeah,
I do connect with that. I think because of my upbringing, it was always so loud and disruptive and angry and combative that
yeah.
I tend to be the more quiet route because
Mm-hmm.
I'm so tired of fighting. Like that fight was my nonstop of everything. But I'm learning where sometimes I do need it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a time and a place that you don't have any other option but to here's my fight, here's my passion. But that's not something that I figured out until recently. So thank you.
Good job, sis. Good
I
job,
feel you.
sis.
So now I'm curious. We
Yes.
were talking before. You said that you're literally half the person that you were before.
Yeah.
Was all of that literally just all intermixed with like the spiritual, like self discovery, stepping into your authenticity? Was it something that you were consciously trying to do, like take care of your body, or was it mixed in with the fact that you were
No.
trying to feel better, like emotionally and physically?
Yeah. Well, I'll give all the facts because I like to be a nosy bitch. When I want to know something, I want to know it all. So I'm gonna give the nosy bitch version of it.
I love it.
After I had a serious eating disorder in high school, serious body dysmorphia, I saw myself as the 300 pounds I ultimately hit in my 30s as a teenager when I was like 125 pounds, starving myself. I said that I was an anorexic without willpower because I would crack and eat once in a while, but then I would spend time puking until it was just straight stomach acid coming up so that I could know I got it all.
Right.
And, you know, asking my teacher if I could leave class because I had to use the restroom, and intentionally taking the second lunch so that I didn't have to worry about people being in the bathrooms that I walked out into the back 40 to use, you know.
Right.
So eating disorder, serious body dysmorphia when I was younger, got a pretty decent handle on it when I was in my young 20s because I knew I wanted kids and I knew I needed to have a stable body. I mean, I got so jacked up that in high school, I didn't know this at the time, but I was having chest pains and I had to wear this heart monitor, which back in the 90s was like oversized pager with all these things on my chest, to high
Right.
school for a couple of days because they were monitoring my heart to find out what was going on, why I was having the pain. They had no idea it's because I was puking and my potassium was low. So, anyhow, fast forward, early 20s, got a pretty good handle on it. Struggled with it when I would have big feelings. Like
Mhm.
I would go use vomiting as a way of coping. Um, and anyway, so then after babies, healthy weight for me, my body just landed at around 150 pounds.
Mhm.
I'm about 5'5" ish. So 150 pounds was where my body naturally landed, and I thought I was huge. And then each pregnancy, I gained 60 pounds and lost 50 of it. So when I was done having my two babies, I was sitting at about 170 pounds,
Mhm.
and so I was at my all-time high at the time, and just not feeling good about myself. I even went and talked to a doctor about getting a boob job. Like, maybe that'll make me feel better. And I told the doctor, well, I want to lose weight. He says, most women say they want to lose weight and then they gain about 20 pounds and then come back. And I was like, oh, that's not going to be me. I had no idea. So I went, now this is my weight gain journey. So I went from 170 pounds after children up to 300 pounds. And
Okay.
I didn't really see it other than every year when I'd go shopping, I was easily up a size.
Mhm.
Um, so it was about 2012-ish, 13, right in there. And I decided I was going to get the lap band procedure done. And I was
Mhm.
terrified because I have never had a broken bone. I've never had a cavity. So having this, I'm going to get put under surgery, really scared me. But there was this
Mhm.
component of me that was just, I didn't care. I was willing to take the risk because I was so out of control. I needed something to intervene. And
Right.
so I went to the doctor and they are like, hey, you need to lose a little bit of weight before we're willing to give you the surgery. So I started drinking Herbalife shakes and moving my body. And the fatter you are, the faster you lose it. So I lost about 20-ish pounds before my procedure. Um,
Mhm.
I had the lap band procedure done, and I'd say the lowest it took me to by 2000, like within a few years, I think I got down to like a year or so. I got down to like 220.
Mhm.
But then 250 was where I sat after my surgery. So really, it helped me lose and keep off about 30 pounds. And I think the reason it helped me lose the weight wasn't because I necessarily made a lot of diet changes, like food choice changes, but literally it's like a zip tie around your stomach. So the
Right.
hole for the food to get through, it's like it's painful. And I think that's what kept me from overeating or getting up in the middle of the night to use the restroom and then binge eating whatever bullshit was in the refrigerator and available to me.
Mhm.
So it was forced change in a sense. But here's the deal. I sat at 250, 260 until around 2015. In
Mhm.
2015, I made a very big choice to go get a job at a warehouse, predominantly men, and it was very physical. And from September to December, I lost about 40 pounds doing this job.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then and then it slowed down because, the closer you get to goal weight, which I've never really set a goal weight. When I had my surgery, I was like, I would just love to be in the hundreds. I used to
Right.
make jokes about getting up to 200 pounds. Then that shit wasn't funny anymore when I was like 230 pounds. I was like,
Right.
I'm not going to up the joke to 300 pounds. So I got a really physical job and got down to around 200 pounds. And that is about the time I went and did that yoga experience that I shared with you about. And I started
Okay.
being mindful about, okay, I'm going to just try to drink more water.
Right.
We did a hike, and that really pushed my limits and my belief in myself. And I realized that that was one of the biggest things I lacked, is the belief in myself. Because I was always a procrastinator. I never scheduled anything. I was always late. I was always feeling like I was overwhelmed, letting people down, fucking constantly behind the eight ball. So I
Hmm.
started taking ownership for my choices and seeing, hey, these little adjustments make improvement. And then I
Right.
just started making more changes and then got intentional about my body and taking pictures of myself. And then I was able to realize, holy shit, I had no idea when I was gaining the weight. Like I didn't see it because that's who I always had seen. Even when I was
Right.
120 some pounds, people don't understand it. I wouldn't have understood it other than I've experienced it. That's to me what body dysmorphia was. I looked in the mirror and saw these, chub areas that I was like, oh, I don't look like a Barbie here. But they were so magnified to me and they just limited everything about me. Like I would never wear a bathing suit. Now
Right.
I don't care. I don't care. Um, so once I started getting mindful and recognizing the control that I had in my everyday life, that's when I really became fucking unstoppable. And now I say I'm a logistics ninja because I used to have all these pain points and I didn't have the support per se to change them.
Hmm.
I found them along the way. I found what worked for me and I created tools for myself. And then now when you bring like the tools I'm learning through Dharma Coaching Institute, you bring it all together and I just feel like um, extremely ready to help anyone. Well, not anyone, but I know what my ideal avatar is and the people that I want to work with. But I know that weight loss gets attention and people will see a picture of me and say, like, I think the biggest picture I have, I'm only about 280. Like, you stop taking pictures, or it's
Right.
only face shots. It's only like the angled selfies that
Yep.
minimize the chin.
Yep.
Um, so when people see the weight loss, they're like, oh my God, what'd you do? And they want to hear, oh, I ate this meal plan or I did this,
Yep.
cut and dry. And it's like, no, it's so much more. Like, pull up a seat. I peeled back the layers of my mind. And that's where, I mean, getting a physical job really was impactful. But at the end of the day, there's other people that do the same job I have and they're overweight.
Right.
So, and not to bash on that, but I mean, it's everything is what you make of it. And I went and
Yep.
intentionally put myself in an uncomfortable environment to be physical, to lose weight, to push my limits, to get stronger. And then once my body started getting stronger, I started focusing on my mind and I recognized how
Mm.
weak my mind was and just took ownership over that and started reaching for the resources, whether it be books, podcasts, new friends, social circles to infuse in my life to get whatever it was that I was craving. I just took the responsibility to get what I wanted out of life. And
Mm.
I made the clock my bitch in doing so. Like there's 24 hours in a day.
That.
No one dictates what time you have to wake up or what time you have to go to bed. We all know the things that we could cut back on or that would benefit us if we were to do more of. But do you really? When I
Right.
started my job now where I'm getting up at 3 in the morning to go to work, like there's no fucking way I could have woken up. I was always late for work when I started at 8 or 9 or 10, and this is actually a Sahara Rose quote, but she said, think about the word discipline and how does it make you feel? And most of us are like, I don't want to. Discipline
Right.
doesn't feel good. It feels like someone telling you what to do or you doing what you should do, but not what you want to do.
I've heard that
And
before.
an
Yep.
exercise that she had us go through was now think about the word devotion.
Yep.
How do you feel when you think about devotion? And what are you devoted to? It's easy to say, I'm devoted to my spouse, I'm devoted to my kids, right on. Get devoted to yourself.
Yep.
So that was really impactful.
Mm.
I don't know if I answered your question.
I doesn't matter. I was I was so inspired by that. And like it for me, it like hit all these different things from like people that I've had conversations with before. And I have close friends and family members that struggle with the same problem, wanting to lose the weight and not knowing how, not understanding. And I've actually heard someone say that phrase, like, because I know someone who did. They did a certain diet and they lost crazy weight. Like they are the smallest I've ever seen them in my life. Like they maybe are 100 pounds, and it's okay, like where they're at, but they still find themselves going and grabbing for large shirts even though they
Mm,
wear an extra small.
yeah.
And that was when I made that connection too. It's like, holy crap, it really is a part of the mindset too, because you can do all the things, but if you're not loving what you're seeing in there
Mhm.
energetically, doesn't matter what you look like.
No.
And
And
then,
one of the tools oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
A tool, well, actually, back backing up the trolley, before I got this real physical job, I took a picture of myself. I was at the rec center. It was when I was starting to get more mobile.
Hmm.
And I took a picture of myself and I was looking at myself in the mirror. And I took this picture and I said to myself out loud, I'm coming for you, bitch. Like, I know you're in there. You're fucking in there and you're coming out, you know? And then
Yep.
a lot of life changed. You know, I got a divorce. I just a lot of life change. You know,
Right.
I like talking about the gossip points that people like to hear about because a lot of people are shameful over their choices in life. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying I'm proud of some of the fucked up things that I've done, but I'm saying that it does not hold any power over me. It's true. It happened. Like I cheated
Love
on my
that.
second husband. Any questions? You know? Um, and there's a lot that can play into your mind because then I heard in my mind like once a cheater, always a cheater. And I didn't know if it was true. But I'm
Right.
pleased to announce I've been in a relationship for several years now, and it has not just been unicorns and fucking lollipops. And I would never, I respect him more than any man I've ever respected before. And it's, I think, a reflection of how I respect myself more than I ever have before. Like, I
Right.
will speak my truth before I ever sidestep. It's just not necessary.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
It, people like to hide a lot of the darkness, but we are one with the darkness. Like that is where we grow and learn. And when we share it, other people see it too. And then it becomes the norm of, oh, I made a mistake and I'm human. No kidding.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah. And I'm not even saying I regret it. I don't even
Right.
know if I would label it as a mistake. And that
Right.
may sound not very nice. Whatever. But it's like it, just like a lot of other choices that I've made,
Right.
were not a reflection of my highest self, but they definitely taught me a lot, a lot.
Right. Thank you for
No
clarifying that
regret.
because like
No,
I'm
no
not
regret.
right.
Not
I
even one
wasn't
letter.
I use the term mistake a lot because that's what other people say. Like that's what a lot of people will like use those like that is the phrase they use when they're talking about things that are like taboo or like, oh my gosh, you did this thing that's not the norm. Like, oh, that was a mistake. For me, they're lessons learned or
Boom.
like it's just something I did. Like
Yeah,
I
next,
needed that to
next.
get there. Like I'm
Yeah.
living
Did
life
I
over
learn?
here. Yeah.
Man, I learned a lot about myself during that time.
Right.
No, it's like, but the cool thing is that I've gone back and apologized. Hey, I did some fucked up things, and you loved
Mhm.
me, and I loved you, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me, genuinely.
Right.
What someone does with that is outside of my control, and I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And it sounds assholey, whatever.
It's just more like it shows that apologies are more about you than it is the other person. It's about holding yourself accountable to, hey, this caused you pain, and I honor that in you. Doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to do anything different because I needed to do what I needed to do for me too, but I acknowledge the pain in you. Like it's just seeing other people. And I love that you hold that space. Like I'd
Thank you.
feel so comfortable coming to you and being like, here is all of my stuff.
Oh yeah,
Let's
give
talk
like
about it.
you give me a topic, and I can tell you two uncomfortable truths about me before you even tell me your bullshit, so you know you're in a safe space. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. You know, the fun one is I've apologized to my kids, but I've charged them with, you know what? These are some of the areas that I've identified that I could have been better.
Hmm.
And this is how I would like to be better going forward. I love you. Like, please forgive me. You're now responsible to either choose whatever it is you choose to do and be in your life or change
Hmm.
it. Don't be a shitty mom to my grandbaby because I fucked up on some things. Like, you're accountable for yourself.
Yep.
And they're like, thanks, mom. So,
We haven't gotten to that level yet because like I have 16 and younger, but
uh huh.
I have had that conversation after all the growth that I've done. I sat each of them down and said, "Look, I know that some of the stuff I did previously it had an impact on you, not a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I am not proud of how I showed up as a person. I'm not I'm not going to take blame for it because you can't know better until you can't do better until you know better. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just living and doing my best. Now my
Reacting.
best, yeah, I was reacting. I was just doing my best to survive in where I was at. But I
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge your pain. I acknowledge these things like may not have been what you needed. Moving forward, I'm going to do my best each and every day. I'm going to fuck up though.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Like you're gonna need therapy either
yeah,
way.
like
You don't get out of this without needing therapy. It's just the
yeah,
rule.
you're going to need something.
Yeah.
You're going to be mad at me at some point. And that's where the other kids, like the three youngest, were like, "Oh yeah, we definitely saw that." And my sweet oldest is like, "No, you've been amazing and don't
Oh,
say that."
that's
But I'm
beautiful.
like, "There's the people pleaser. I taught you that."
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love I love that so much. Okay, so this conversation is just my favorite. I I
Thank
we're
you.
gonna have
I
many
agree.
more. I
I love
cannot
it.
wait till you come back on because we're gonna have more conversations. But what I would really like our viewers to know is like
Yes.
you're stepping out, like you are creating something that is so yours and being that light to help people through their darkness and find their way back to themselves. So, what does that look like in the future, and where can they find you?
Ooh, girl. I actually, whenever I hear people say find their way back to themselves or rediscover you, I hear it differently. Like
Okay,
let's let's meet you. Do you even fucking know who you are? Do you know what you
right.
like? What are your preferences? So that's where I have some serious superpowers is helping people get comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Um, I created my own company. It's called AuthenticBroad. I'm
Oh, I
actually
love
rocking one of my shirts right
it. I
now.
love it so
It's
much.
it's my signature look is warehouse casual. I go from dingy, dirty warehouse to cleaned up and still a little manly. Um,
Love it.
I I'm actually launching my coaching business. I'm going to be a certified Dharma coach. Dharma is a Sanskrit word for soul's purpose,
Hmm.
and so I'm going to be a soul purpose coach. And I'm bringing my experience of the pain points that I've overcome that's been reflected by losing 150 pounds. Like you said, I'm literally half the bitch I used to be, um, and by experiencing deep conditional love by the people that I trusted and loved the most, I have been able to really create the grid work to experience unconditional love and recognize the difference between love and ego and when it's showing up and tools to work through
Hmm.
it. So, whatever it that someone's working through doesn't even really matter. It's
Right.
who you are and how you're showing up. And I know I have some amazing tools to essentially align with someone to work through that. So if it
Right.
sounds like if it's a fit or someone's interested, I'm actually offering discovery calls right now. I have a limited amount of spaces where I'm offering coaching in a format where the energy exchange instead of cash right now would be testimonials and feedback between the last few months of the year.
Oh, I
And
love
I
that.
intend on launching my business January 1. So if anyone's interested in reaching out, they can reach me by emailing authenticbroad@gmail.com would probably be the best way to reach out to me.
Okay. I will make sure to link that in the bio because whoever finds this episode, I have a feeling is going to come your way. Like you're going
Thank you.
to that's always my intention stepping into every episode. It's please let this reach whoever it's meant to reach. And
Mm,
whether that's one person or thousands, it doesn't matter to me. The person that needs this, I hope they have the ability to find it.
beautiful. And uncomfortably, I would like to share that I am now on TikTok and it is so uncomfortable, but that's what I'm pushing through now. So if someone wants to follow me at Authentic Broad, on TikTok, that would be great. I'm starting to post more of my bullshit on there
Oh, I
and
can't wait.
would love the following.
I love how you phrase things. Like it just feels so freeing and I love it's so you and I just love who you are as a human.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
just
Back at
do.
you, sister.
So now
Yes.
I let's leave our viewers
Okay.
with one thing, like one call to action. Like if you have one thing that you could say
Mm,
that you think would give them just a little bit to push them a little bit more forward for themselves, what would
I
you say?
got it.
Yeah,
Lean into the discomfort. Do the shit that scares you.
absolutely.
And if you need to hire a homegirl to help push you through with that accountability, I am here.
Oh, I love that. So about it. And then I have one more question that's my own selfish one.
Yes.
I ask everybody when you hear the new dream,
Mm,
what does that make you either feel or what does it make you think inside your
mm.
body when you hear the new dream?
New dream. When I hear the new dream, that phrase, I think of a program that I'm putting together called You 2.0, and it's
Mhm.
figuring out who you are. And when I hear you say the new dream, I hear alignment and co-collaboration with you, very possibly. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, I love that. I thank you so much. Absolutely. It is the new dream movement. Like this is
Yeah.
the podcast. I have a collective and then together they make the movement of unconditional love and support for all.
Holla.
I'm finding my people right here.
Yes. Yes.
We're going to create beauty. I'm just saying. Beauty
Yep.
and fun and
Yeah.
get rid of the bullshit.
Absolutely.
And well, enjoy some of it because some of it's fun.
I'll make if it's not fun, why the fuck are you doing it? Honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much wholeheartedly for being on with me today.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Got those pretty eyes that are one in a million. She looks like